Spirituality, halo or hoax? I would say it's neither halo nor hoax. When you say halo, you limit it only for a few people. You don't say halo around everybody. If everyone has halo, then it's no halo at all. You see halo because it is selected few. Spirituality is not such. It's as an integral part of a human being, as the breath is, as food is. Spirituality is the food of every human being. Because we are made up of both matter and spirit. So anything that addresses our spirit, I would call a spirituality. Anything that uplifts one's spirit, uplifts enthusiasm, uplifts joy in life, is spirituality. It's the lack of spirituality that leads on one hand to violence in society, on the other hand suicidal tendencies. Today you will see the suicidal tendencies are on rise only in those parts of this country where spirituality is at its lowest. And violence is highest when there is no spirituality. I make a distinction between religious fanaticism and spirituality. Religious fanaticism is much different. It's not caring for the spirit. So this question whether spirituality is a hoax or a halo does not apply in India. This is a land of spirituality. You know, it's like doubting whether apples grow on tree or is it manufactured in the factories. If this question is asked in Chennai, it's understandable, maybe it's some ignorance. But in Simla, you cannot afford to ask this question. Either you should be blind or so ignorant to say spirituality, is it there or not? Does it halo or hoax? You know, we often glorify people who are dead and create a halo around them, and those who are living, we brand them as hoax. This has been a history in the world. When Jesus was alive, he was considered a hoax. And Kabir was given the same treatment by the Pandits of Kashi. Only when a person dies, then a sainthood is conferred on him. This has been the Occidental thinking, not in the Indian scenario here. Mahatma Gandhi, what do you consider him as? Spiritual person or not? Mahatma Gandhi removed his tie and coat and put aside his law books, and he wore a dhoti and took a Gita on his hand, went up and down this country, united this country, brought freedom for India. Today what we call in India is a gift of spirituality. Mahatma Gandhi became a spiritual person so he could unite this country. I remind you, there were people even at that time who considered Mahatma Gandhi a hoax. They just put him down. If everybody had followed Mahatma Gandhi, this country, there wouldn't have been a division in this country also. That was an unfortunate thing anyway. So Mahatma Gandhi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mirabai, Atwale ji, Dongre Maharaj, there has been a host of spiritual people guiding this country time to time. And basically, Indians are spiritual, that's why they are secular also. You know, as business houses, you hire and fire people, give them deadlines. You know what do? When you hire somebody, give deadlines to them, they come to us. When you fire them, they again come to us. Because a person cannot handle all this pressure in the head. They want to relieve that pressure. So a point of solace is needed for people. A spiritual person handles three roles. One is he is a counselor, role model, And then he also is a doctor. Counselor or advisor, psychosomatic illnesses are a biggest problem in today's, that. And when they find somebody in whom they confide, they just tell their aches and pains, they get themselves relieved of themselves. So, devoid of spirituality, this country would have become like Congo, where there is ethnic conflicts on rise, or former Yugoslavia-like situation would arise, where people would go hither-thither. It's a spirituality which is binding this country in one string and helping people to move ahead. Of course, like in any other field, there are hawks. There are. I don't deny that. I don't say everybody who claims to be spiritual are good. Today in this country, there are 18,000 and odd hospitals, 1.25 million doctors. So many operations happen. Many of them fail. So in the same way, there are 255,553 Swamis and saints in this country. In this 2 lakh, there may be 10, 15 who are just in the garb of spirituality, may be exploiting people. That's a fact. But like every other discipline, like a musician, when you're out of tune, when you're playing musician, a musician can point out, can know it, catch it. So people grasp such situations. They know. They see what is genuine. Because heart knows. Head cannot relate to spirituality. It's the heart which relates to spirituality. So people can feel, there is an intuitive sense in people whether somebody is genuine or not. So to help this situation from AIDS, drugs, alcohols, and all these vices in the society, spirituality comes handy. And it has contributed enormously in that sense to people. At times of difficulty, it's a spirituality that gives strength and make people move ahead. We cannot take this away from people. In the last 5 years in US alone, the interest in spirituality has gone up by 500 times. Yoga is a $27 billion industry in America, United States of America. And 99% of it are in the local people are doing it. India has not owned yoga as of today, though the origin has been here. Again, many people come to spirituality not just for spirituality, but even for material pursuits. They want to be, they want to solace, find some avenues to get themselves better. And people who are miserable, they come to spirituality. And those who have a quest in them for truth, for reality. One who knows life is not just eating, drinking, sleeping, and just gossiping and wasting time, but there must be some more meaning to life. What is this life about? Who am I? What is this? This spirit of inquiry is a sign of intelligence. So when intelligence matures, intellect matures, there is a natural urge to know about life, to know about the world. And spirituality is the solution to that quest. Who am I? What am I? Where have I come from? What is life all about? This spirit of inquiry is something that pushes someone towards spirituality. And I would call that as the real, genuine spirituality. Now, the question would come, what is the need of a teacher for a guru to be spiritual? We can read from the books. Yeah, if you read from the book has become your guru, a guide. We need a guide for football match, if you want to be a good player, you need a coach. You may be a surgeon yourself, but you need a surgeon to operate on you. You need a teacher to teach you alphabets. So a role of a teacher is prominent. And the people in this country had realized this. That's why they gave the third place to the role of a teacher or a guru: father, mother, acharya, the guru, and then the guest. All the four have to be treated, honored, and learned from. Now, many people in this country, they think they don't need to go to dentist. 49% of the people in this country don't brush their teeth. They feel there is no need for it. 79% of the people have never visited a dentist in their life, though they brush their teeth. So, one who has tread the path, have known something, then they can say it is not necessary. If J. Krishnamurti tells you, you don't need a teacher, he is right. He doesn't need a teacher. But if I tell you, I'll give you medicine, but don't call me a doctor, doesn't matter what you call the person, I become a doctor. Are you with me? Huh? So a guide is essential. A teacher is needed. You know, in this country we have 1,10,000 imams and about 2 lakh and odd priests. Though their job is limited, they some way contributing for the sanity in the society. I do agree there are many who are out there and they do misguide also, no doubt. But we cannot assume the whole field of spirituality as hoax. Am I stepping out of my time? Please tell me. You know, you can't brand the whole spirituality as a hoax. There are definitely such instances. You know, when we assume everybody is a hoax and try to prove the innocence, it becomes very difficult. We have to start from the positive note. There are good people on this planet, and the guilty has to be proved as guilty. But in the case of spirituality, we turn the table around. If you are a spiritual person, you prove your innocence. This step itself is a wrong step, I would say. It would lead into much more mental depressions, nervous breakdown, and social chaos. The social fabrics breaks down a lot when we don't pay attention to spirituality. Now, with these words, I thank you all for being with me now.
I'm quite sure, ladies and gentlemen, that in this august assembly, nobody would envy my position at this moment. Speaking after such a charismatic and formidable personality like Sri Ravi Shankar is like coming out of the pavilion to play after Tendulkar has made a sparkling century. But in some weak moment, I had committed myself. There are certain things which I would like to make very clear at the very outset. Don't get carried away by my name, Javed Akhtar. I am not revealing a secret. I am saying something which I have said many times in writing, on TV, in public. I am an atheist. I have no religious beliefs. And obviously, I don't believe in spirituality of some kind. Some kind. One. Another thing, I am not standing here to criticize, analyze, or attack this gentleman who is sitting here. We have very pleasant, civilized relations. I have always found him an extremely courteous person. One is talking about an idea, an attitude, a mindset, not any individual. I must tell you that when Rajiv opened this session, for a moment I felt that I have come to the wrong place. Because if we are discussing philosophy of Krishna, Gautam, Kabir, Vivekanand, then I have nothing to say. I can sit down right now. I am not here to discuss a glorious past of which I suppose every Indian is proud, and rightly so. I am here to discuss a dubious present. India today has invited me, and I have come here to talk of spirituality today. Let's not confuse this word spirituality. You can find two people with the same name and totally different people. You know, Ramayana was written by Manas, to be right, was written by Tulsidas. And the television film is made by Ramanand Sagar. Ramayana is common, but I don't think it will be very wise to club Tulsidas with Ramanand Sagar. I remember when he had written Ramcharitamanas, he had faced a kind of a social boycott. How could he write a holy book in such a language like Awadhi? Sometimes I wonder, fundamentalists of all hues, all colors of religion, all communities, how similar they are. In 1798, a gentleman called Shah Abdul Qadir, in this very city, for the first time translated Quran in Urdu. And all the ulmas of that time gave fatwa against him, that how could he translate this holy book in such a heathen language. When Tulsi wrote Ramcharitamanas and he was boycotted, I remember a chaupai that he had written. धूत कहो अवधूत कहो रजपूत कहो कि जुलाहा कोहू कोहू की बेटी से बेटा न ब्याह कोहू की जात बिगाड़ न चाहू मांग के खैबो मस्जिद में रहिबो ले बेकाए न देबे का तोहू. When Ramanand Sagar made his television serial, he made millions. I am not undermining him, but obviously he is much lower in the rung. I'll give you another example. Perhaps that will be more direct and more appropriate. Gautam came out of a palace and went into wilderness to find the truth. But nowadays we say that modern age gurus come out of wilderness and wind up in the palaces. Sir, they are moving in the opposite direction. We can't talk of them in the same breath. So let us not hide behind names which are dear and respectable for every Indian. When I was invited to give this talk, I felt that yes, I'm an atheist, I try to be a rationalist in any given situation. Maybe that's why I'm called. But suddenly I realized that there is another quality that I share with modern age guru. I work in films. We have a lot in common. We also, both of us, sell dreams. Both of us create illusions. Both of us create icons. But with a difference. After 3 hours, we put a play card. The end. Go back to reality. They don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me make it very clear that I have come to talk of this spirituality that has a supermarket in the world. Arms, drugs, and spirituality. These are 3 big businesses in the world. But in arms and drugs, you really have to do something, give something. That's the difference. Here, you don't have to give anything. In the supermarket, you get instant nirvana, moksha by mail, crash course in self-realization, cosmic consciousness in 4 easy lessons. The supermarket has its chain all over the world, where the restless elite buys spiritual fast food. I am talking about this spirituality. Plato, in his dialogue, has said many a wise thing, and one of them is that before starting any discussion, decide the meanings of word. Let us try to decide the meaning of this word spirituality. Does it mean love for mankind that transcends all religion, caste, creed, race? If that's so, I have no problem. Except that I call it humanity. Does it mean love of plants, trees, mountains, oceans, rivers, animals, the non-human world? If that is so, again I have no problem at all, except that I call it environment consciousness. Does spirituality mean heartfelt regard for social institutions like marriage, parenthood, fine art, judiciary, freedom of expression? I have no problem again, sir. How can I disagree here? I call it civil responsibility. Does spirituality mean going into your own world, trying to understand the meaning of your own life? Who can object on that? I call it self-introspection, self-assessment. Does spirituality mean yoga? Thanks to Patanjali, who has given us the detail of yoga. Yam, yatam, asan, pranayam. We may do it under any name. But if we are doing pranayam, wonderful. I call it health care, physical fitness. Now, is it a matter of only semantics? If all this is spirituality, then what is the discussion? All these words that I have used are extremely respectable and totally acceptable words. There is nothing abstract or intangible about them. So why stick to this word spirituality? What is that in spirituality which is not covered by all these words? Is there something? If that's so, what is that? Please ask somebody. Now somebody in return can ask me, what is my problem with this word? I am asking to change it, leave it, drop it, make it obsolete. But why so? I'll tell you what is my reservation. If spirituality means all this, no discussion. But there is something else which makes me uneasy. In dictionary, spirituality is rooted in a word spirit. When mankind did not know whether this earth is round or flat, he had decided that human beings are actually combination of two things, body and spirit. Body is temporary, it dies. But the spirit is, shall I say, non-biodegradable. In your body you have liver and heart and intestines and stomach and brain. But since brain is the part of the body and mind lies within the brain, it is inferior, because ultimately brain too shall die with the body. But don't worry, you are not going to die, because you are your spirit. And the spirit has the supreme consciousness that will remain. And whatever problems you have is because you listen to your mind. Stop listening to your mind. Listen to your spirit, the supreme consciousness that knows the cosmic truth. Now, all right, it's not surprising that in Pune there is an ashram, and I used to go there. I love the oratory. So, on the gate of the lecture hall, there was a placard. Leave your shoes and minds here. There are other gurus who don't mind if you carry your shoes. But mind, sorry. Now, if you leave your mind, what do? You need the guru to find the next station of consciousness. That is somewhere in the spirit. He has reached that supreme consciousness. He knows the cosmic truth. But can he tell you? No, sir, he can't tell you. So can you find out on your own? No, sir, you need him. You need him. But he cannot guarantee that you will know the ultimate truth. And what is that ultimate truth? What is the cosmic truth? Relating to cosmos, I have not been able to understand what is that. The moment we step out of solar system, the first star is Alpha Centauri. It is just 4 light years away. How do I relate to that? What do I do? So, emperor is wearing robes that only the wise can see. The emperor is becoming bigger and bigger. And there are more and more wise people who are appreciating the robe. Sometimes I used to think that actually spirituality is the second line of defense of religious people. when they get embarrassed about traditional religion, when it starts looking too down market, they hide behind this smoke screen of cosmos and superconsciousness. But that is not the complete truth. Because the clientele of traditional religion and spirituality is different. You take the map of the world, you start marking places which are extremely religious, within India, outside India, Asia, Latin America, Europe, wherever. You will find that wherever there is a lot of religion, there is lack of human rights. There is repression. Anywhere. I mean, our Marxist friends used to say that religion is the opium of poor masses. It's the sigh of the oppressed. I don't want to get into that discussion. But spirituality nowadays is definitely the tranquilizer of the rich. You see, the clientele is bejeweled and well healed. It is the affluent class. All right, so Guru gets power, high self-esteem, status, wealth, which is not that important, power. But a lot of wealth too. What do the disciple gets? This rich disciple. When I looked at them carefully, I realized that there are categories and categories. It's not a monolith. There are different kind of followers, different kind of disciples. One who is rich, successful, doing extremely well in his life, making money, gaining property. Now, since he has everything, he wants absolution too. So Guru tells him that whatever you are doing, it's nishkam karma. You are playing a role. This is all Maya. The money that you are making every day and the property that you are acquiring, you are not emotionally involved with it. You're just playing a role. You come to me because you are in search of eternal truth. Maybe your hands are dirty, but your spirit and soul are pure. And this man, it starts feeling wonderful about himself. For 7 days he is exploiting the world. And at the end of the 7 days, when he goes and sits at the feet of Guru, he feels, I am a sensitive person. But there is another category. That too comes from the affluent class. But he is not the winner like the first one. You know, winning and losing, being victorious or vanquished, that is also relative. A rickshawala, if he is playing gambling on the pavement and wins 100 rupees, will feel victorious. And if a corporate man, world man, makes only $300 million, while his brother is a billionaire, he'll feel like a failure. Now, what does this rich failure do? He needs the Guru to tell him, who says that you have failed? You have other world. You have another vision. You have other sensibility that your brother doesn't have. He thinks he is successful. Wrong. The world is very cruel, you know. The world tells you honestly, no sir, you got 3 out of 10. The other person has 7 out of 10. clear. They will treat you that way, they'll meet you that way. Here, he gets compassion. Here, he plays another game, another category. And I'll talk about this category not with contempt, not with any sense of superiority, not any bitterness, but all the compassion available. And that is a very big clientele of this modern day guru and today's spirituality. That is the unhappy rich wife. Here was a person who put all her individuality, her aspirations, her dream, her being at the altar of marriage. And in return, she got an indifferent husband who at the most gave her a couple of children, who is either busy with his work or busy with other women. This woman needs a shoulder. She knows that she is an existential failure. There is nothing to look about. She has a vacuous, empty, comfortable, but purposeless life. It's sad, but it's true. Then there are other people who are suddenly traumatized. They lose their child. The wife dies, or the husband dies, or they lose their property, they lose in business. Something happens which shocks them, and they ask, why me? So who do they ask? They go to the Guru. And the Guru tells him that this is karma. But there is another world, if you follow me, where there is no pain, where there is no death, where there is immortality, where there is only bliss. He tells all these unhappy souls, follow me and I'll take you to a heaven, to a paradise, where there is no pain. I'm sorry, sir. It's disappointing, but true, that there is no such world. Life will always have certain quota of pain, of hurt, of bruises, of defeats. But they do get some satisfaction. Somebody may ask me, if they are feeling better, if they are getting peace, what is your problem? It reminds me of a story that I had read. It's an old Indian story told by a sage, that a hungry dog finds a dry bone and tries to eat it. And in this process bites its own tongue. And the tongue is bleeding. And the dog feels he's getting nourishment from the bone. I feel sad. I have a lot to say. Because I want them to behave like adults. I respect them. I know there is a kind of security in it, the security of a tricycle. If you are riding a tricycle, you won't fall. But adults don't ride tricycles. They ride bicycles. They can even fall. It's a part of life. There is one more kind. Like everybody who is a member of golf club is not fond of golf. The same way everybody who is seen in ashrams is not a spiritual person. A film producer who was an ardent follower of a guru, whose ashram is somewhere 2 hours away from Delhi, once told me, you must go to my Guruji's ashram. You will see who is who of Delhi there. Let me tell you, my Guruji is another Chandra Swami in making. Now this is a contact point, networking. Sir, I have great respect for people who are spiritual or religious, and in spite of they are good people. And I have a reason, because I believe that like every emotion or feeling, you have a limitation. Now I'm feeling slightly pressurized by time. Can I get 5-6 minutes more, please? May I, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, you can see up to a point, and you can't see further. You can hear up to a point, but then you won't be able to register sounds. You can mourn up to a point, and after that you will get over your mourning. You can feel happy up to a point, and then you will get over happiness. The same way, I'm sure that you have a capacity for nobility also. You can be as noble and no more. Now suppose we turn this capacity of nobility in average man in 10 units. Now anybody who goes to pray in a mosque 5 times is consuming this 5 units there. Anybody who goes to a temple or sits in the feet of the Guru, he's consuming his quota of nobility there and totally non-productive. I don't go to pray. I don't pray. I don't go to any guru or mosque, any temple or church. What do I do with my quota of nobility? I'll have to help somebody. I'll have to feed somebody. I'll have to give shelter to somebody. People who use their quota in worshipping, praying, adoring religious figures and spiritual figures, in spite of that, they have left with some nobility. Hats off to them. You may ask me that if I have this kind of ideas about religious people, why I showed such a reverence for Krishna and Kabir and Gautam? You can ask me. I know. I'll tell you why I respect them. They are the great contributors in human civilization. They were born in different points of time in history, in different situations. But one thing is common in them. They stood up against injustice. They fought for the downtrodden. Whether it was Raman or Kans or Pharaoh or the high priests and Palace Pontius or the British Samraj in front of Gandhi or the communal empire of Firoz Tughlaq in the times of Kabir. They stood up against that. And what surprises me and confirms my worst feelings, that today, these enlightened people who know the cosmic truth, none of them stands up against the powers that be. None of them raises his voice against the ruling classes, against the privileged classes. Charity, yes. When it is approved and accepted and cleared by the establishment and the powers that be. But I want to know, which was that Guru who took the Dalits to those temples which are still close to them? I want to know, which was that Guru who stood for the rights of Adivasis against the Thekedars and contractors? I want to know, which was that Guru who spoke about the victims of Gujarat and went to their relief camps? They are human beings. Sir, it is not enough to teach the rich how to breathe. At best, it is rich man's recreation. It is the hypocrite's pretension. It is mischievous deception. And you know, in Oxford Dictionary, mischievous deception is a term that is used for a word, and that word is hoax. Thank you.
What are the implications? What does breathing, and he referred to yoga, to the practice of yoga, lead to? In what ways, and what are the mechanisms that it...
You know, it just takes half a second to turn an atheist into a follower. Are you ready? Just tell him, don't trust whatever I say. If he follows that he has followed, otherwise he trusts you. Did you get it? You tell someone, don't follow me. If they take your word, either they will follow your word or they follow you. Did you get it? Are you with me? You know, you tell someone, don't trust me, and if they literally take your words, they have followed you. Did you get it? And if they don't trust you, then they definitely trust you. They don't trust your word. Either they trust your word or they trust you. So it's better to tell a person, don't trust me. Did you get it? No, it was wonderful what he was saying. I do agree with him. And I felt that I was listening to the Naxalites who came to see me a few months ago. When I had Javed Akhtar, I see this is the feeling that has generated the Naxalism in this country. 6 months ago, 135 Naxalites drove 16 hours from Hyderabad to Bangalore to come and see me. And I gave a patience hearing to them, and they exactly sounded what he was saying. I could feel, I know, this is the pain of the people. The trust is lost somewhere. I tell you, I remind you, this is the same, it's nothing new. This was the case at the time of Kabir also. This is nothing new. This ideology of saying everything is a hoax, nobody can give anything at the present. And then, you know, one more thing, we put down supermarket. Why do we think commercial activity is so low? Nothing wrong in being commercial. When we say it's a supermarket, commercial, our attitude is that is hopeless, that is a third grade thing, it's no good. You know, sometimes we had to charge people so that they learn properly. We were giving the breathing exercise free of cost to people. They'll come one day, they won't come the next day, they'll come the third day, they won't come the fourth day. And if only rich is learning, I tell you, we would not have 200 million people who are following these principles. I wish there are 20 million people who have undergone the art of living. They're all rich and famous. I'm sorry to say they are not. They are poor people. I have 125,000 prisoners who have been tremendously benefited just by breathing. No, we need to modernize. When we modernize everything, what is wrong in modernizing the yoga? You can't demand from people the same thing you demanded 500 years ago. Sit for 10 hours. You know, you have to adopt like everything, even yoga exercise, to the modern days. You can't tell someone to remove tie and suit, then you can sit and meditate. You can say you can meditate wherever you are in the plane. Today, aeroplanes, they have introduced relaxation, most of the airlines. So I don't see there is something wrong in adapting the ancient technique to suit the modern day time so that it benefits people of today. Of course, I tell you that is not a spirituality which does not form part of seva activity, service activity. If someone says this is spirituality and that is nothing to do with seva, I tell you it is no spirituality. True spirituality goes hand in hand with self-practice, sadhana, and seva. And Indian spirituality always emphasized, you are that. The first thing you say, you are that which you are seeking. Just relax, let your mind calm down, have an open mind, feel a sense of belongingness to everybody. This is a genuine, the cream of spirituality. I totally agree. There are people, as I said, 10% who say all those sort of things that Javed Akhtar ji has mentioned. But let us not confuse, let us not just clap because thinking the whole spirituality is in that category and dismiss a heritage which has enormously helped the growth of a civilization. Thank you.
Sorry. Javed bhai, I think that what Shri Ravi Shankar ji is saying is that true spirituality leads to a personal transformation that can make one more efficient in the practice of seva and service. Isn't that in a sense him saying the same thing as you are, that ultimately our obligation and commitment is to serve society and make a difference and impact the community? Maybe you're just coming from two slightly different paths, that you're looking at a process of change and transformation from a more external social orientation, and he's looking at it from personal internal transformation.
First of all, I think that I don't see any need to respond to Shri Ravi Shankar ji, because he has very kindly not contradicted anything that I have said. So there is no room for responding. But as far as the numbers are concerned, there's so many people believe in this, or so many people have done that. I mean, this is very strange. I feel that strange beliefs get credibility only by the brute number. I mean, it will give me happiness if I start hallucinating or believing that I have an uncle in Brazil who is richer than even Alan Mittal, and he is going to leave $20 billion to me very soon. I'll be a happy man. But obviously you will call me insane or mad. But believe me, if 20 million people start believing that uncle from Brazil, you will not dare to make fun of it. And we'll be either Uncleians or Uncle Panthi, and this will become a cult. So, I mean, it is not the number of people that proves anything right or wrong. We have to do right things, not because there is some intangible reason, because our civil responsibility demands that. Let's behave like, I mean, children are offered chocolates to do their homework. Adults have to be more responsible.
But the issue still remains, Javed bhai, that if a technique, a practice of breathing enables a person to be calmer and more efficient and more effective, and that goes under the garb of spirituality.
I have no problem as long as you don't breathe on my face.
Shri Ravi Shankar ji, what would you say the techniques of spirituality, whether it's yoga, breathing, transcendental meditation, in what ways, in what practical ways?
You know, even to say something works or doesn't work, one has to have thorough knowledge of it. It's very easy to dismiss anything. You know, there are people today still believe in Afghanistan that Americans never went to moon. It is just a hoax. And there are people in this country who think it's not possible. Man has never reached moon. So everybody has a right to be ignorant. That's for sure. You can enjoy, nobody can force anybody to be in knowledge. But it's only the intelligent, the wise will always take to have an open mind and don't go with a preconceived notion, view things and not see things as they are.
So perhaps you can help us move beyond those preconceived notions. So when you do this practice of breathing, you do a practice and
Correct.
you do it for 14 hours in a week. What kind of effects are we looking at?
Now, see, the breath is the link between body and our emotions. Neither at home nor in school, nobody teaches us how to handle our emotions. People give you advice, don't get angry, don't get upset, don't be frustrated, don't lose your temper. But how not to do it, this we don't teach. But in breath, the secret lies. See, different emotions has a different rhythm. Even in the movie field, they teach you how to breathe, breathe faster, heavier when you want to express anger. So every emotion has a corresponding rhythm in the breath. Learning various rhythms of the breath, one are able to control one's emotion. One is able to harness one's inside and throw out all the negativity. The effectiveness of that you can find in people, mentally depressed people. Now, aims, you can't dispose that AIMS, which has done research, is wrong, and NIMHANS, which has proved that these breathing techniques are immensely beneficial in eliminating depression without medication. So these are something which is so scientific. And I tell you, scientific appraisal of spirituality is what the day needs today. And this has been the path of the Orient from before. Somewhere in between, we have lost the scientific temper. Then we get into the conclusion, as our dear friend has said now. So I always feel that we should always have a scientific appraisal and not dismiss the modern spirituality as a rubbish because it is not ancient. It is ancient, but it has a modern scientific approach to it, and this I feel is the need of the hour.
Bye. And just final question, and we'll open this up to the audience.
Yeah, it will continue.
There is an empirical basis, says Sri Ravi Shankar, to the impact, the effectiveness, the efficacy of breathing in your face.
You have to, when you get heart attack, somebody has to breathe in your face, you get your life back.